late. You know, you could, spring came yesterday, but you couldn't tell it by me. It's cold. Guarantee you. But as we begin our Tuesday pre-commission meeting, we have a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be thankful for. So let's begin this word of prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for all of our commissioners today and all of our management and our staff people, Lord. As we're about to take this business of Jefferson County, we ask that You will open our ears, dear Lord, and cleanse our hearts so we may do everything to the benefit of You. Dear Lord, let us set our partisanship aside and work for the good of all citizens of Jefferson County. Keep us, guide us, and protect us. As these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay. Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir.
Gave some presentation to us.
Yes, sir. And first off, there was a project that did not make the agenda. It was lacking one check off, and it was an oversight. I emailed each of you the backup for that on Friday. I hope everybody had an opportunity to go over it. But I do need to ask for unanimous consent since it was not on the agenda for the project. So I'm going to ask for unanimous consent.
Which project was that?
Sorry? Which project? It's Project Agave.
She has two items to her community grant that she wanted to do. Have they made it to the system?
Yes.
They've made it. All right, so when we do that, let's just go ahead and add. I have none. You have any? Joe, you have any?
Let me think of one or two. No. I think 1, 2, and 3 on the business.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, now we can go.
All right. So initially, we have Project Agave, which is for tequila automation. Alex Patrick is here with BBA. This is one of his projects we've been working on. Project Agave is for tequila automation. It's a technology company that deals with robotics. 200 jobs, an average of $65,000 on the average wage. And working at a 4-year incentive, not to exceed, and it's a job incentive, a tiered job incentive, not to exceed $400,000. I'm going to go with Alex to kind of give a little bit more information.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. So, like Commissioner Emmett said, we've been working with this company, Tequila Automation, for about a year. So we've come a long way since then. I'll talk about just the numbers here in a second. We'd love to introduce Richard Denton, who's the Chief Technology Officer with Tequila Automation. He's come all the way from London. The company is based in the United Kingdom. They've got a sales office in Austin, Texas, and they're looking to make Birmingham one of their next new hubs for customer service, technology applications, software engineering, and the like. So, again, that's 200 jobs. The job incentive is over 4 years. Average salary is $65,000 per year. That makes an annual payroll of $13 million per year. It's a somewhat of a smaller capital investment because they're just buying computers and technology. So that's going to be a little bit under $300,000. The location of this is going to be in the Switz District, which is really exciting. And again, we'd like to introduce Richard Denton to talk more about the company, and then we're happy to answer any questions you might have about the company and its.
You said it's going to be in what district?
The Switz District, the Innovation District downtown.
Right next to the depot.
And what kind of commission is that?
That's yours.
That's your district.
So why didn't you just say county commission?
Because that's the Switch District is what is previously referred to as the Innovation District.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, that's, I knew what it was, but the county's giving them money, not no speech. If you don't break it, you want. I don't need no.
Sorry.
No worries. Hey everyone, really nice to meet you. As Alex said, we are Tequila Automation. We started the business about 3 years ago in the UK. As you can tell, I'm not from around these parts. And yeah, so we specialize in a product called UiPath, and we do business process automation. So the easiest way to describe it is software robots or bots. And we use them to automate business processes such as invoice processing, HR onboarding, and the like. Very agnostic across different industries. We built a company up to around 100 people. We have offices in London, Romania, Cardiff. We have an office in Austin as well. And we're really excited about the prospect of building out a delivery centre in Birmingham. It's been amazing working with a large number of people over the last year. And we have some plans to build up to around 200 jobs. The types of jobs will be primarily technical, but also project management, business analyst, some administrative roles as well. And yes, fantastic to be here.
Who's the tracking bot?
Not tracking them. They're good bots, not bad bots.
Explain to me the purpose of the bot itself.
So we use a particular piece of software. That software, a way of explaining it is a little bit like Legos. So it doesn't do anything out of the box. We come in and we piece those Lego bits together. So for example, in a law firm, you might have a redaction process. We would build a bot that would maybe read a load of documents from an inbox. It would then take all the information from that document, redact what it needs to get rid of, and then maybe send it to someone else or file it away. That's just one example of many different types of processes that we do. We work in manufacturing, retail, financial services, banking, law, and a number of other industries as well.
Mainly service industries, what you described there.
Yeah.
What brought you to where we,
But yeah, one of our
other than it's a great place?
absolutely.
Too.
Nothing to do with PD blinders. One of our main investors and board members is a guy called Dave Norwood, some of you may know. He made us aware of the schemes that were available in Birmingham. And then since talking with everyone, has been amazed by the collaboration between city, county and state. The way everyone's worked together along with the BPA, the EDPA and everyone else. And so yeah, it's just been really refreshing to see a city working and a county working really well together.
Any other questions? There are no other questions. Motion moved. Do I have a second? I have motion second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's going to be a great expansion in District 2, where the switch district is also located. And a great way to expand our technology opportunity to create more collaboration amongst technology.
Yeah, it's old sticks and stuff.
It is. It's called Next Step.
That's what they're gonna do,
Yes.
right across from Petrus Brothers. Yeah, I can.
So these are
What is that, fourth, fifth, third,
Just down from Firehouse.
Firehouse, the old firehouse.
Oh, yeah. And then directly across from, a block from Innovation Depot.
so these
I heard it was coming, I just wanted to make sure that's coming.
so these are bots. I was thinking tequila automation.
You weren't the only one. Everybody was a little, if there was no tequila actually
That's how I
offered
first thought of
a taste test or something like that.
it. And agave means
Agave is the plant that it comes from, right? That's right. Yeah, tequila's made from agave. And they're actually wrong about that. All right, JCIDA, hotel should be coming in. You wanted to give an update on.
yeah, he's stood the door a minute ago. Maybe I'll try to get him some agave.
Well,
There you go.
there it is. There, all right. All right, hotel, you're on.
So basically, thank you for allowing us to come today. We got our economic impact report back, and we wanted to present it to the commission today. And I tell you, since I transferred over to JCIDA back in November, I had the honor of taking over the agency in January as executive director, and we found that a lot of people really didn't know what we do. So I wanted to just give you a brief overview, and then I'm going to turn over to Heather Wright with the University of Alabama Business and Economic Development Division of University of Alabama, and let her go over the report real quickly for you. But so basically, Calvin's got a presentation that she's going to put. Can you put the slide, Ellen, for the presentation? Dee, can you put the slide?
I have awful things going on.
Yeah. No problem. So basically, what I get to do is, and what we do at your direction, and due to our staff and our board, and this Jefferson County Commission, we get to create jobs, and we get to make the quality of life for the citizens of Jefferson County better each day. So basically, what we try to do is we promote Jefferson County as a premier location for manufacturing and industry. We try to attract investment from leading global companies, retain and grow existing companies, develop and retain and attract talent, and advocate for competitive business climate. We try to make it easy to do business in Jefferson County. We have three parks that we operate. Jeff Met McCullough, which is primarily our manufacturing industry park. Great park, great location near the interstate, near the airport, and it's just it's a huge asset that you have right here because of the vision of the commission. We have three parks that we operate. One we've sold, the one in Titusville we sold to DC Blocks, but we have Jeff Met McCullough and Jeff Met Lakeshore. Between all three of our parks, we have 4,878 workers working in our parks alone, just in JCIDA. We've had, since the first business that opened in 2002, we've had $4.4 billion worth of capital investment in today's dollars put by outside companies here in Jefferson County, just in JCIDA parks. These are just some of the companies that she's scrolling through that we have in our parks. And that's the layout of our park. Go next. And I would be happy to sit down and talk with each commissioner one-on-one anytime you would like, and kind of go over what we're doing, our vision, where we came from, and where we're going. And then go next. Those are some of the companies, big name companies that are in our Jeff Met McCullough Park. And then we have two other parks. Go back one. We have two other parks. One in Lakeshore, located in Birmingham, and then our Titusville Park was located in Birmingham. And we have a number of companies. That's our Lakeshore Park is IT and database, and we also are located in Jeff Met McCullough right next to the Norfolk Southern Intermodal, which is a huge economic engine for this area. Basically, out of 67 counties, over the last 3 years, in 2019, we were 5th in capital investment, 4th in job creation in Jefferson County, 4th in capital investment, 1st in job creation in 2020. 2021, we were 2nd in capital investment and 1st in job creation. We haven't got the 2022 numbers from Commerce yet. So we've had steady growth, and it's all because of the vision of this commission and the keep going. Thank you for your attention. It's not because of my hard work, but the hard work of the staff and the hard work of the commission and the hard work of our board members. Y'all appointed a great board of directors. Yes, yeah. At this time, I'm going to turn it over. I just want to give you a brief overview of what we do. I'm going to turn it over to Heather Wright from the University of Alabama, and she's going to kind of go over the impact report that we received. Commissioner.
I'll wait just a second before he
You'll take
comes out.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Phillips, before she starts. So, I really do appreciate you coming and, sharing about, not only what you all do, but giving us some idea in terms of, what you're doing over there with, with JCEIJ. How often are you gonna be making these reports?
As often as you would like me to, but we can, anytime we have any major news coming, or with at least, maybe twice a year or once a year, just.
I love to see your face quarterly, at least, so we can.
Don't be so bashful.
No, I know, and even though he was a former mayor, I understand. Be bashful, but still come around your friends. But yeah, if we can do that quarterly, I appreciate it. Yeah, I like you, like how you do it.
Now, we're out of Tissville, right? Didn't we
Right,
sell the whole
we
thing?
sold that park out, but the capital investment still, was under JCIDA when it took place, so that was included.
Good morning, my name is Heather Wright, and I work for the Alabama Small Business Development Center. I'm under the Center of Research and Economic Development at the University of Alabama. Well, and you will understand here with small business that even 99% of our industries fall under what we quote define as small business. So when I was approached for economic impact report, we do these a lot with the industries that we're recruiting to the state to decide from a state level and a county and city level what are those incentives that we provide. So similar in that study is how we developed this. We took all the companies that were located in the current parks that they oversee. We determined their impact. And you'll see on the executive summary, you have a community impact, a county and state impact, and then a 10-year impact. You will get the details in the following pages. A community impact is basically the dollar that your community receives from all of these businesses, whether it be by salary, by capital investment, by property tax, et cetera. It's all included. It basically means that if these companies were to leave Jefferson County, those are the dollars that would actually leave with them. If you'll flip to the second page, you'll see here that I've broken it down. And I won't get into extreme detail. I will hand out my cards if you have any questions at all. Feel free to email or call me. You will look at like you said, capital investment of $4.5 billion was from its existence. So what I did is gave that economic impact for year one, but then I took down your capital investment to about 60% assessed value so that we could see what those years look like moving forward. As far as property tax is concerned, you'll see after that, you'll get a direct business employment of 4,878 jobs. The average salary of those jobs is $47,298. So you will see that impact of their salaries. And also on those numbers under the community and then the direct to Jefferson County, you'll see exactly what the county gets from each of those. I will note on direct business employment that there were years where you guys had an occupational tax that did give Jefferson County about $17 million in its existence of that occupational tax since the park was formed. I didn't include that on this, but it is on your executive summary that is a true impact that the county received in those years that you were actually taking in that occupational tax. You'll see there from those jobs, 0.75 is an induced multiplier. So for every job that is created in those parks, 0.75 jobs are induced effect, which is very, very conservative. When you look at industry-wide, typically we see in most manufacturing industries and industrial industries, we see maybe like a 1.45 to 1.5 induced effect. Just means that of those jobs, they're hiring, CPAs, attorneys, they're buying groceries at the grocery stores, and therefore the groceries need employers, et cetera. So you'll see those impacts as well. I did not give property tax its total homeowners, just because I figure if you work in Jefferson County, it doesn't mean you always live in Jefferson County. So you may live in outside counties. So I gave that a percentage and gave that at 3,025 homeowners, and then gave that property tax your assessed value, and then directly what's given to the county and to the state. So you'll see all of that as well. Sales tax The 41.8 is the EDAA calculation statewide of what disposable income is spent in local communities. So you'll see that too as well in the sales tax that's spent in the community based on those jobs. I did get a little bit in the weeds with car tax because I feel like, why not, show you a little bit more on car tax. And so you'll see that that comes in at $82,000, but your total directly to the county in dollars is $14,537,284. That's year one with the capital investment that's been year to date. But when you go to the compound direct year impact two, you will see where obviously it didn't completely double because I took in a different appreciated value of the actual capital investment. So what I did is I took that into 60% because we know that the assessed value is actually going to be much less than their actual capital investment. So that's why you don't see it double each year. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, you can absolutely ask them.
Does this take into consideration
That it does with that assessment on the property tax. So the way that I did that is I dropped it down to 60% because some of them were incentivized by maintenance.
so we're incentivizing some of that is actually rolled off then?
Yes.
Now we're collecting them.
Right.
We only have two now that's current, under current tax abatements. The rest
So
of them are all
we're getting
paid.
those dollars.
So it's no way to break this down by districts, all by unincorporated, incorporated.
Not really. We could have gotten pretty much in the weeds on some of it, but it was so difficult with when the companies arrived and how many employees, so we just tried to do the year-to-date capital investment and then the jobs. We did kind of a ramp up during the existence to the occupational tax fall off. So there were a lot of moving parts. Just to simplify it was the reason we went this route.
So this is only on Jason.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So is it any way for you to find out how it directly impact taxpayers?
Directly impact the
Yeah.
taxpayers or the incentives that each company receives?
Right.
Okay, that I don't have that data, on what incentives were given to each company, but we,
And the revenue that they bring in.
It's on.
yeah, so the capital investment's on there, but the revenue of the actual company, we didn't include, we just did capital investments, on them. But you will see that you do see the sales tax that comes from the jobs created that's spent in the community, so yes, there is that impact there.
I do not see the capital investment.
Yeah.
I believe you enjoy the Lake Shore and Pittsburgh parks.
I got everything on the western side of town, starting behind the city center all the way to west.
Like, that's two of your parks. The main, the employment would be from that particular area to you. So, you probably pleasantly surprised if you turn that gap on.
We could pull it by heart, if that's what you're wanting to see, where you can.
We could, but we would have to have the zip codes from the employer, and getting that would be like probably.
Oh, you're talking about for the
Yeah,
employees,
that's what you.
for sure.
That'd be tough to get.
Yeah, they were very reluctant. We did a survey to get most of this information, and we had to really dig to get a lot of it.
Now, you say there's only two companies in the park that were incentivized or are still in the incentivization?
The Stomp and Smokers are the only two, I think, they're still receiving tax.
The stock was on expansion.
Have we ever had to do any clawback?
Nobody's went out of business except, and it was backfilled with the Publix distribution center, but Office Depot went out of business, but it was already through with abatements, and then Publix backfilled it. More access now too. This will give you the job right there in each park.
Any other questions?
So basically, for every dollar spent, the county directly gets $13
22
22 cents. So it's pretty good.
Right, right.
It's on the coast.
Millie, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. All right. Danielle's not here tonight. While we're waiting, I have a number of grants from EMA to Public City to breast cancer and United Ability.
Well, we had, pledged some money to United Ability. Are we running parallel tracks on that? You know, I think your office was doing something.
Yeah, I think we were.
I know I saw the email from Danielle and Sarah, but I didn't know sort of where that was.
Oh.
Well, let's hold off on that.
Yeah, what we'll do is just move it to the agenda, and with the understanding that we will, add to it, starting it, that way I can talk to her.
I had a question too, on, 1 and 5, I mean, I supported it, I just had a question about that.
Okay.
So when we talk about conducting operations off-site for EMA, what exactly are we, what is that?
Well, they're gonna be here to talk about the educational engagement side, so when they come in,
So they do the presentation there too? Alright, and so on the breast cancer piece, tell me a little bit more about this foundation of Alabama. I don't know who they are.
they raise funds to support breast cancer research within Jefferson County.
Yeah, but I'm saying is, what is the connection with that organization? Like who's
So,
the chair?
so Shrikar, our CIO, is on the board, and so he asked that I meet with her,
Who's
and,
her? Beth.
what's her name?
Beth.
Beth.
But,
No, I don't know.
You've seen it before. Councilman Thompson.
Oh, she did try to come and visit the Trumpian office as well.
Yeah, I don't know anything.
But I think you'd already given.
Okay, so the reason why I'm asking is because I'm interested in supporting it also. I just wanted to know, so what I want to do is, if you don't mind, if you will oblige, I want to add 5,000 to your 20.
Okay.
And that's for item number 5. And then since you said that EMA will come and explain, then if you don't mind, I'd make a motion for items, looks like 2 through 6 that you have. And I just, like I said, I will probably end up supporting it, I just want to get more clarification.
So 1, 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah, I mean, let's just say this, why don't we do 1 through 6?
Okay.
With the understanding that they will provide the information.
I have a motion and a second, all fair please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. This morning, we also wanted to bring BDA, who are doing business advisory services, on behalf of Prosper and association with Prosper. So let's introduce Emily Jerkins Hall, J.C. Matthews, and Victor Brown, all from BDA. Victor and J.C. are actually running the program. I think Emily's going to speak to the programs for business advisory services.
Good morning, how are y'all?
Good morning.
So it's been a few months since August of last year where y'all graciously approved your investment in business advisory services, and these guys have been doing an awesome job. They'll tell you a little bit about some of the work they've been doing. We're going to kick it off with a very short video featuring them and some of our clients, and then take 4 minutes to talk through where we're at and answer any questions.
My name is Selena Rogers Dickinson. I'm the president of Sarkor LLC, which is a civil and transportation engineering design services firm headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. being a part of the programs and being a part of the Birmingham Business Alliance has really been an asset for me. It was a one-on-one with Mr. Victor Brown that helped me map out my plan. In a 6-month period of time, I doubled the revenue that we did from the first 6 months of the year.
Every single day, I get to work with companies that have the great potential and capacity to do business with large corporations, with consumers.
The Birmingham Business Alliance is an extension of your family. We want to be immersed in any facet that you're experiencing in your business as far as growth, scale, from getting entry-level employees, whatever that might look like. We are your family.
For someone who is contemplating whether or not they should sign up for a program or getting engaged with the Birmingham Business Alliance, get out of your own way.
There are many opportunities to engage with the Birmingham Business Alliance that we want companies to take advantage of. So go to our website, give our office a call, and someone will be glad to assist you to get you plugged in and engaged in ways that can really help you succeed in Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you all. It gives me a lot of pride to see where we started really a couple years ago, starting this initiative, to see where we're at now, thanks to the leadership of these guys. And in that article, so that video was produced by our partners at Birmingham Now, and there was mention of Jackson County's investment as part of that as featured, so thank you all for that. As a reminder of the why behind all of it, we started on this mission a couple of years ago, really looking at the data Brookings had offered as part of Prosper's work. We knew that the Birmingham area needed more jobs. We knew that we needed more good jobs. And we knew compared to other markets, that stage 2 companies, those small businesses that are starting here, that there was an opportunity for us to grow and scale them so that we could really build a resilient, competitive economy. And so that's exactly what we've done with the portfolio of programs that we're working on now. Diversity is also incredibly important to what we're doing. And so we have a goal of 50% underrepresented groups as part of that, and we're proud that we've really exceeded that goal. And so as we keep moving through, that's the why behind what we're doing. And we'll go to the next slide. So scaling business. So the mission of our program now is grow a diversified economy of scalable and diverse businesses right here in Jackson County. And so this is really our thought and approach behind it. Is right now, we work with our partners to identify and support who those stage 2 companies are, those companies who can take it to the next level. We work with them, and as you heard from Selena Rogers-Dickerson, who's actually one of our new board members at BBA as well, she grew her revenue because of the work in our program. When these companies in this program grow revenue, we create good jobs, and we build a resilient economy. They spend more money, and that just, the circle keeps on going. So that's the thought behind the work we do. And as we move forward, our 5-year goals, so this is part of a 5-year initiative we started in 2022. We're on a mission to grow 2,000 direct and indirect jobs in Jackson County by serving 250 businesses. I mentioned our diversity goals here, and we're working to give you an ROI on that job by meeting national standards. We're creating 1 job for every 2,900 invested in the program. Some of this data we can track sooner than later. So this summer we'll actually have our first round of annual data on the first 20 companies we served last year to see where we're at with revenue and jobs. As we keep moving through, this is a quick update. So right now, early last year we ran our first cohort of supplier scale applications are currently open. JC Matthews runs that program and can answer any questions you have. We're in the final process of selecting our next round. It made me really proud that we had several of our graduates attend our open house, and they were the ones promoting the program. So I think that speaks to itself when the product of your program comes back and helps you recruit to your next round. Victor Brown has been leading our Team Up initiative, which is all around how do we grow and scale teams by focusing on building great people. And we've worked with a few local service providers to do that. And then we also, Victor leads our Inclusive Procurement Council. And so we've got 12 of the largest procurers, anchor institutions, as part of that meet on a monthly basis. And he puts these companies and others that we're working with in front of those buyers. And we have begun to see transactions happening as a result of that. We also, this summer, we're going to be identifying right now 5 biotech companies that we're going to be taking to Bio International to help them grow, connect with investors and customers as well. We have one other program later this year that we're working to design now. And so which again is another sign of how satisfied they were with the program. These are pictures of our current service providers. We were really fortunate. There's some really talented people management consultants in our market that we've been able to work through as part of this current cohort that we were really proud to bring on board with us. This work would not be possible without your investment. So I hope you see, I'm really proud. I wasn't in here earlier, but my colleague was for Project Agave, and y'all supported that. I'm really proud. I think y'all are doing an awesome job in economic development of taking a holistic approach. You're helping small businesses, you're helping startups, you're helping attract businesses, and you're helping businesses grow. Some communities are only focused on one piece of the pie, so I really want to commend y'all for thinking about the whole picture and for putting those investments and dollars to good use. I'd be happy, our team would be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
I have a question for you. So, since we're speaking of holistic approach, what is this, do you all have like a long-range plan, kind of economic development model? And the reason why I'm asking is because I know specifically for my district, which we cover east, north, Birmingham, and we go into Pratt City, which is west of Birmingham. And then we have Fairfield, Adamsville. Yes, I'm pitching you. I'm trying to see what is your long-range plan to, since you appreciate our support. I love to see some development in those areas. And that's not just large businesses, that's also mom and pop shops, which we know is the backbone of the economy.
Great question, Commissioner Scales. So we, on the economic development side, they'd be happy to talk through and map out assets that are within your area to look at where there might be opportunities. We're also really excited. We've really got a funnel for client services, and we just hired someone recently and got funding from a few different community foundations and the city to launch a business navigator program. And our partners on that are BDRC, Mr. Bob Nickerson's group, SBDC, Innovation Depot, and Red Birmingham. And so we're really excited. We're going to when we go out to the neighborhoods, and we work with all of our resource partners to get those businesses connected to the resources available.
So when you speak of BDRC, for example, are you all depositing, making an investment in the BDRC in terms of funding you all receive, or it's just they're lending their institutional knowledge?
They actually did, great question, they actually did receive, we built in some budget to help them do some of those resource connections, so they actually are receiving funding, each of those partners are, and as we work to grow that pie, we're also going to work.
What that pie looks like?
So that pie,
I'm asking for money now.
the money amount specific to.
When you say that you all are investing into them based on providing resources, what does that look like?
I believe it's around $5,000 to $10,000 for support on one piece of it. Again, this program, I'd love to talk to you and others more about it. It's really still in its infancy stages, so still working to build out the partnership network, build out the budget to figure out how we can invest in that. But we certainly want to make sure our partners get the funding they need in addition to what we're running so that they can deliver those services.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're in the process of talking with BDRC and CARA to kind of extend small business support. And so in the next couple of meetings, you should be seeing something that.
You know that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
and it's $5,000 to $10,000 is not gonna do it. And plus, I know that you all got $750,000 from us in the budget, right? But if we're doing 5 and 10s and so forth, I'm glad that you are moving in that direction.
Commissioner Tyson, I met with Bob, and I've met with Jeremy Duckworth with Central and Development Alliance, who also works with Auburn University and University of Alabama. So hopefully we'll have something coming up soon, and hopefully we're working with not only BBA but with JW Carpenter, with Prosper, and making sure that we have some metrics to apply to show progress.
And I will say, as part of this program, a large portion of our budget is we pay for direct consulting services for the folks that are service providers to the companies. And so I will say, I'm really proud of the volume of companies we've been able to serve with 2 folks on our team. But we run a pretty lean operation and a lot of lower overhead, and a lot of those dollars go directly to the companies and service providers.
I'd like to hear from these gentlemen on, we able to attend one graduation, but you guys obviously have some success stories that probably need to relay. So,
Great.
I know Victor's a little, bashful as well.
It's been great. We, first of all, talking about the first initiative, which was the Vital program, actually, and the outgrowth of Vital that the mayor did the pledge on became the Inclusive Procurement Council. So as Emily shared, every month those companies meet. They are engaged and really working diligently with suppliers. In the past, the story was a black-owned business would show up at an Alabama Power or somewhere, be told, well, you're not ready, you need to get ready. They get ready, maybe get their first opportunity, and then within a month or two, oh, you didn't do a good job, you're out. Bad behavior on the representation of the big companies, and they learned that, they knew it, so now they're working in tandem with JC, really helping us since he ran the supplier scale program on what we call supplier development. And I can report that as of today, and JC can give more detail on this, there have been contract opportunities, there have been the big companies asking about meeting with our supplier scale graduates. So we're really excited about that. You might want to share some specific examples.
Yes, thank you again for our opportunity to present today. So what we call this is planting seeds. Economic gardening, it kind of takes a process. Someone comes with the mindset that they want to get better, but they don't know where to go to get better. That's what we come to step in at. It's not holding hands, but you don't know what you don't know. So expose them to better opportunities. It's kind of what Supplier Scale is beginning to do. So out of the 21 companies, we're able to support and help 18 of those with people of color. So a lot of programs talk about, the impact, but we're trying to be direct impact to these companies. So working with them, taking them in front of the Inclusive Procurement Council, meaning that they do have opportunity to pitch, about the products that they have, the products that they're selling, and not just pitch with the end goal of getting a contract. This contract increase the bottom line of these companies, which is necessary to create jobs, and the more people to be hired, that's what it's about. And that's what our focus is on. So of those, we've had Selena Rogers Dickerson able to obtain contracts. As she is doing paving throughout the city of Birmingham, when she's looking to grow her company, she's needing people to help her get in place to do those things, and having a good support staff going through supplier scale and also going through Team Up, which she's talking about creating a place to work, a great place to work, creating a culture inside in which that people say, hey, I never knew what you were doing, but I would love to come work for you now. It's the exposure piece of it. And this is what we're doing for these companies. Even thank you for Commissioner Tyson for sending over Corey Bishop with Twice as Nice
Water ice.
Which has a wonderful product that's here in Birmingham. But I enjoy, meeting with these people. I'm from Tennessee, just been here a little bit over a year now. But I'm loving Birmingham, and I'm going to continue to go to communities where they need help at. Continue to be at ease as I continue to work on building a relationship to help people of Birmingham, to help Jefferson County grow, and help Alabama overall as a whole. So I'm excited about this work and look forward to continuing doing it.
For a company like Twice as Nice Water Ice, when we met with Corey at his research holding company, he said, hey, I'm really interested in protective life and the study. So the beautiful thing about a connection with the BDA is we can make that direct introduction with our colleagues at the Stadium, Selena Rogers Dickerson. I think she's over the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion program at Protective Life. So it's just a matter of Corey saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And we literally can go ahead and make that introduction and make it happen. Shipt jumped on board immediately and started asking, we want to know who all the Black-owned restaurants and catering companies are, and they started immediately using them. Shipt spends a tremendous amount of money on food every single week. So to see that, I think 2 or 3 Black-owned caterers have already been picked up by Shipt, and they're a new member of the council. So just over and over again, we're seeing things that I know I haven't seen in the 15 years I've been at the organization, and it's just thrilling. And I'm so excited about the Navigator program because I've always told, particularly when Emily and I were working together in 2020 during the pandemic, we were like, the geography that we got to touch on, and sometimes people would get angry at me, but I said we have to touch on geography that's not just in the center city, not just around Innovation Depot, but we've got to get to North Birmingham and Fairfield and East Birmingham and touch those companies. So the Navigator program, I think, is going to be a real great foundation to help make that happen.
Yeah, just want to draw one name. It's TaxWiz. So there's a company by the name of TaxWiz CEO Tevin Harrell. They were just recently accepted into a accelerator over in California, TechStars, which is one of the top in the nation. Even harder to get in than Harvard. But they started and came back to Birmingham and started this product, in which this phenomenon is beginning to stand up. And they alone could create a $1 billion company and to hire thousands of employees. So this was about coming to get some support behind you and to get the exposure to tell the community about your product and really have a household name like that. That's going to do wonders for Birmingham, just to ring bells throughout the world.
What was that product that they?
So they have they were probably one of the only minority companies that have an IRS certified product for tax preparation. So they have a software company.
In the market with a company called TaxSlayer, and that market is bigger than the H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt. It's a huge market, and they're tracking and planning on building a $1 billion company, and most everybody in the tech and startup community feels like they can do it.
Let me ask this question. Do you all have a website where we can be able to look at your historical data in terms of who you're servicing and what the dollar amount looks like? Do you have a website?
Not yet, but we're probably working on building that out as we're doing a overhaul of our website right now. We do have a place that you can go and look at the details about the supplier scale program, but not as far as having the details to see about each company, amount of employees.
Is that something you all can provide?
We will.
So on that one, so we do have a landing page up on the site, as JC mentioned. As part of our reporting to y'all, we'd be happy to provide the participant list of who's participated in the program, so that you'll have that and key information. Right now, we're in the phase, we have an evaluation schedule that we can get you. But this is really, we're going to be evaluating year 1, year 2, year 3 to look at some of these job revenue numbers. But we do have some early satisfaction ratings from each of the programs.
So let me tell you more specifically the kind of query I'm looking for.
Okay.
I'm looking for, when you tell me that it's an African American business,
Yep.
right? I'm interested obviously because I'm black and I have a business. So I'm not interested in just how many businesses you have, I want to know the money.
Yep.
That's going to tell me how they're going to have sustainability. Because like you said before, most black-owned businesses, they have to utilize their own capital. They don't have access, even if they have great credit, but you don't have commercial credit. And you have to know how to be able to go from personal to business and make that work so it doesn't adversely impact your personal credit, right? So that being said, if you can give me that kind of information, I don't want to sound critical, but if I hear equity in the back of my head, I want to know a dollar amount that is the equalizer. Otherwise, we're saying that huge and this, that, and the other, but you're starting from a floor level of 0. So if you think you're doing 5%, and you say, well, that's huge. Well, quantify huge. Am I making sense? So I want to know what that looks like. Because the average business, that's why a lot of these small businesses went out of business during COVID. They don't have they don't have it. So if you get that to me,
that's to your point. That's one of the big reasons exactly why because they didn't have the technology adoption where they could have all the paperwork in line to do a PPP loan or EIDL loan. And so that was what these guys are working on, business advisory services.
And to that end, I mean, as part of this cohort, obviously, as you all know, the financial markets, access to capital is going to become probably harder for some of our small businesses. And the economic conditions in the next few months are a little unclear. So we're going to be doubling down as part of this next supplier scale cohort and getting that financial counseling piece embedded so that they are prepped for it.
Any other questions? I wanted just wanted them to be able to come and present, and we don't always get a lot of feedback on what we support, and it's great for them to come and give us an update on where things are, even though it's still within the first year.
And we would love for y'all to come. We're going to actually have the team of graduates join us for our April 25th Board of Advisors meeting, reception after if y'all would like to attend that, or if there's any of the events we have with the cohort that you'd like to stop by or speak at, we welcome you.
Thank you.
Give me the Birmingham, and I know what our level of commitment is, are they matching us with the funding for these programs?
What's the question?
Are they matching, is Birmingham matching the participation of Jefferson County in these programs? You know, it's Birmingham Business Alliance, so we want to make sure that we do have an equal partner here in this program.
We would welcome additional investments from all of our public-private partners. We appreciate y'all's investment. I think the city has made an initial investment in this Business Navigator program, and we welcome conversations for further investments, because we do think it's a good ROI.
All of this being wrapped up in
Yep.
Prosper, that the city has invested in other areas with Prosper, and that this was our portion. If you look at Prosper as a whole, to support directly the BBA is in lieu of our support of Prosper because of BBA.
Does that answer your question?
I don't know the dollar amount.
Yeah. Well, I think there's always, we are diligent right now at looking at how we're funded to make sure that we're representative of key cities and counties that are the main beneficiaries of what we do. And so, we think that we've got value to add, we've demonstrated return on investment, so we are actively working, to get more investment.
And that seems to be the theme today, because we had that report from the Jefferson, which was excellent. And now we have the report here, it's return on our dollars on our investment, and how it's being spent, and it's like it's being spent wisely. So we appreciate that. We just want to make sure that the other partners who participate with hear what we say over here at the county and make sure they do the same. Okay.
Any other questions?
Where are most of these businesses based out of that you are helping?
Birmingham.
We got maybe two that are investors. I think there's maybe two that are investors, at least from the
So
original.
one of the things that we will do that we can get to y'all is, I've had that, we've got the zip codes and everything, but we want to map it out to see where everybody's at that we've served over the past year, just so that we've got an assessment of which areas are we serving, do we have gaps, we'd love to work with y'all to identify if there's certain areas and neighborhoods that we don't have as many representatives. We want to make sure that we've got a representative group of folks participating.
I mean, are y'all reaching out to the Gardendales of the world, or, Forestdales, those areas, or y'all primarily right here in the city?
So I can have y'all speak a little bit to our recruitment efforts. We're always, as part of our chamber, we are working to build out our chamber relationships throughout Jefferson County. And as we do that, we do see an opportunity to recruit more from those areas. A lot of our first cohort was really word of mouth from a lot of our existing clients that Victor worked with last year. But I'll have y'all, if y'all.
Yeah, I think Emily makes a great point. When we think about Fultontail, Gardendale, at our organization, we mainly focused on our Chamber of Commerce having those relationships, because generally when you look at Gardendale, Fultondale, I think at one point Adamsville had a decent chamber. There was some struggles with communication there. I'm not sure where that stands, but we can certainly find out. But we really, depending on people in this room, our relationships to get the word out, because generally what we find is that if a company is in Gardendale, and I've had opportunities on occasion to talk to companies in Fultondale and Gardendale, and sometimes it feels like you're a million miles away, even though maybe it's 10 miles downtown Birmingham. And sometimes people look at where we are as, okay, well that's downtown and I'm in this other area. But we would love to see companies get involved that are from some of the cities that are outside of the city center, if that makes sense. We're fortunate that we're able to fill our cohort with companies, as JC said, that are primarily within the Birmingham city limits proper, maybe within 5 miles of Birmingham, but we would love the opportunity to stretch out. And I think as Birmingham Business Resource Center comes on board, as CARE comes on board, as you all know, the CARE footprint goes out to West Jefferson County, so even beyond Bessemer. So the impact that we can have on a larger number of businesses from a geography standpoint is very important to us. But we can definitely work with the new navigator that we have that gives us a little bit more reach out a bit more, working in tandem with the chamber, because that navigator position is part of the chamber. JC, you got any thoughts?
But do you all go to these chambers and talk to them and say, hey, this is who we are?
Our chamber president does. Our chamber president is active with Bessemer, Lawson State, and now that she's got a fuller staff, she'll be able to reach out.
I mean, you know, Centerpoint has a chamber.
Yes.
There's multiple chambers out there, but what I would like to see is you broaden your scope as opposed to be right here in the city center, because that seems like where you're concentrated.
Commissioner, we'll pull together, as I work with Nan to ramp up kind of how we convene the chambers across the county. I'll get with her to figure out where do we feel like we've got really strong relationships, and maybe I would assume all of you have strong relationships with your chamber within your districts, and would welcome an intro if we haven't met them yet.
Because a lot of those people that go to those chambers, they're there to look for help, to see what else is out there. And if y'all aren't out there, then they don't really know to come wherever to find you, to the BBA or whatever. So,
We do attend meetings with the Alabama Black State Chamber of Commerce. Jerry
well,
mentioned.
there's more than blacks, sir. Just say, there's Clay, there's Tarrant, there's Centerpoint, there's Trustful, there's Gardner. All these have their own chambers. But I would like to see a broad, because y'all said it's stage 2 companies.
Yes.
It was basically a stage 2.
The Stage 2 company is a company that has demonstrated an interest and ability to grow to the next level. We're really trying to make more companies that have 10 to 99 plus employees in the region. And so this program, you know, we start, suppliers I believe it's about 2 to 10 employees, 200 to $1 million in revenue, with the idea that we've got certain industries that have scale potential.
Well, you just described every chamber member that I come in contact with in all these outlying areas.
Well, there's always opportunity. I think that's a really great point, and we'd love to talk to you more about how we can make sure we're getting in touch with them.
Good, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today. We appreciate your time.
Quick question, do you all, you help to establish chamber of commerces in areas that may not have them, but they do have, income, disposable dollars in an area? Let me give you an example, like Forestdale, that's an unincorporated Jefferson County, like what you talked about, expanding, you know, your territory. Do you all assist areas that, may fit a certain criteria, but they are interested in establishing a chamber?
There's certainly resources we can tap into to provide advisory support for any area, within the area that would like to do that.
Because there's one other part that had a chamber, but it no longer exists. And typically, people don't know how to reestablish what was established. You say that you can assist in every
So if you facilitate an intern, we'd love to talk to them and figure out what services we have that we help them with. And I think we're also a member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and part of the Alabama State Association of Chambers. And so figuring out.
You may be an angel this morning.
What is it?
You may be an angel this morning.
Oh, gosh.
She is
That's
amazing.
great. I'm glad I could help.
Now, you're gonna be more than helpful. I just need that information.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all for your time.
All right,
Sprout your wings and fly away.
I'll wear a halo next time.
At our last meeting, there were some questions about ambulance service and training and education. And so I'm going to ask Chief Broker Jim St. John to come up. We've been working on not only the ambulance service, our short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Yes, sir.
And I will ask whether they come up. I know you have a capital plan you're going to do. On the end of the presentation, if it's okay, you're going to finish this presentation, then if you do the capital plan presentation, that will be all the presentation. We'll go through our agenda pretty quickly. That sounds good.
And I did have the need for an executive session, which is 10 o'clock.
We'll do that at the end. Right.
So we're short-term, mid-term, long-term solutions to our ambulance issue, which include training. Our working group has included folks from EMA, some of our fire chiefs, and Jim St. John is not only a former fire chief, but also a PhD candidate. I would like to love that. But we work very diligently and hard, and Jim's taken the lead on the education and training side. And so I'll ask him to kind of do a brief presentation. I know the commissioner has some questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak to this. The ambulance problem in Jefferson County is rooted in a number of different causes. It fits the definition of a wicked problem, something that evades an easy answer with one solution because of interactions. One of the items that was identified in the Fitch report that you contracted for in 2021 was education. Although that was not listed as a finding in that study, the concept of EMT education in particular carried a lot of the discussion in that. And so it's important to know what education of an EMT requires. There's 3 levels that EMTs are certified at in Alabama, or licensed status in Alabama. That's EMT basic, EMT advanced, and then paramedic. And the basic level is a prerequisite for each of the other 2 levels. However, the advanced level is not a prerequisite of the paramedic level of education. It's not a way station. It can be, and a lot of people go through advanced, and it reduces their commitment somewhat to becoming paramedics. But after the education is done, the person has to be licensed to perform in the state of Alabama. They have to be licensed to be able to work within their scope of practice that they've been educated to. And that licensure for about the past 30 years has been farmed out to the National Registry of EMTs, which is a national organization, and they are really a test writing outfit. And they have a lot of depth, they spend a lot of time and effort and money on each one of their test questions. And the National Registry has the reputation of being extremely rugged. It's hard for the matriculating students who are ready to get their license after they've completed their program of education. It's hard for them to pass it. And so there's quite a bit of attrition from completion of the education to being able to go out and work in the field as an EMT. And that's helped to, or it has contributed to the ambulance shortage. There's not enough people for employers to hire. So the place that we looked first at was the EMT education entities within Jefferson County. When we began this, there were 4 that taught EMT in Jefferson County. Now there's 5. There's 3 public institutions, Lawson State Community College, Jefferson State Community College, and the Alabama Fire College. The Alabama Fire College is unique in that group because they don't have a fixed campus here in Jefferson County, but they have a statewide mission, and they can educate EMTs anywhere in the state at any level. They paramedic, but they teach a lot of EMT basic, especially in Jefferson County, because they teach fire recruits as part of their firefighting training. So there's also 2 private entities. Herzing University is one, and now since the study, there's another one that's started that's known as RTI, and it's a public initiative by Regional Paramedical Services to educate EMTs, and they've had a EMT basic class here in Jefferson County, although they're based in Walker County. Well, knowing who could help us fix this education problem and get more people out on the street working as EMTs, we invited
And it was productive. It was notable in that neither Lawson nor Jefferson State had an EMT program director at the time. And they didn't have the next tier in their structure because we met with deans of each one of those institutions to talk about what was going on. Well, that's notable because the Alabama Department of Public Health publishes national registry passage rates. They keep a tally of that. And frankly, Lawson and Jefferson State's pass rates and Pershing's were dismal. They weren't passing many of the students that went through the programs. I couldn't see what the numbers were, but the Alabama Department of Public Health shared that their numbers were relatively low. And they were both in the 43 or 42% rate for National Registry pass rates. The Alabama Fire College, on the other hand, is consistently at 97 or 98%. And that's notable because they train a lot of EMTs statewide. Their numbers are extremely high and their pass rate's extremely high. They're doing something right. So comparing apples to apples is impossible here. Since 2012, 2013, the Alabama Fire College hasn't been under the aegis of the Alabama Department of Post-Secondary Education, while those other institutions are. And they have to abide by ADPH or Alabama Department of Post-Secondary requirements. And one of those things is that the student matriculates through the program, which EMT Basic might be 3 or 4 classes that they have to take to complete the program. If they can pass all those classes, they're considered to be a graduate and are awarded a certificate. The Alabama Fire College is not under Alabama Department of Post-Secondary Education, and they can be a little bit more creative. They've got a gatekeeper at the end of the program that the students have to pass to go sit for the National Registry. So they're training people to be good EMTs to pass the National Registry, and then they're making sure that they can do it before they allow them to go. And they're very effective at it. Like I said, the numbers are extremely high for the number of students that work through that. But in that discussion with the deans of the programs located here in Jefferson County, they were very receptive to the idea of some sort of a relationship with the Alabama Fire College, producing a final exam sort of thing, a prep class and a final, but that would take a change in the rules by their entity that they were responsive to, which is the Alabama Department of Post-Secondary Education. We haven't gone any further with that, other than to establish with Alabama Fire College, if it's a possibility, they're willing to come in and help us out by getting these students ready to test and perform in the field. So, after this, we met with Drs. Harris, the Alabama State Health Officer, and Dr. Wilson, the Jefferson County Health Officer, and wanted to make sure that we weren't doing anything, we weren't pursuing any sort of an action that would be objectionable to the Alabama Department of Public Health, because ultimately they issue a license and EMTs will have to operate it. They were very supportive. They were unaware of the difference in the abilities of all the community colleges in the state and the Alabama Fire College to be able to, what they could do to regulate who left their programs and testing. But they were very receptive, and we did have an interesting aside to that really didn't relate directly to education, but it does have to do with training and how the students got that. In Alabama, fire departments cannot employ EMTs who are also not firefighters. That may be a moot point because there may not be, we don't know the number of people that would like to be working for a fire department as an EMT rather than as a firefighter EMT. But it is important because far and away, the vast majority of emergency medical services that are delivered in Alabama, and especially here in Jefferson County, are delivered by fire departments. When someone picks up the phone and they call 911 for a medical emergency, they're going to get a fire department response. So it is important to keep that in mind. I talked with the Professional Standards Commission
And they're not receptive to the idea of changing that. They're afraid that it will degrade the capabilities of fire departments within the state of Alabama if they were allowed to employ, if they were allowed to employ firefighters or EMTs who aren't firefighters. So that is something that we don't really have a handle on yet, can't address that, but that's kind of where we are. The exciting conclusion of this is Chris Willis set up a meeting with the Jefferson County Board of Education's Director of Community and Technical Education. And they have on 14 campuses programs that could or already are delivering EMT instruction. We're working towards that now, how to support that EMT instruction in the high schools so that when someone graduates from high school, they're already an EMT. We can get them out in the field and help to resolve that ambulance shortage. So what I bring you today is information. I don't have an ask and I don't have a recommendation yet, but I was happy to come and describe the situation to you, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, that's some good information, Jim. And there's a difference in teaching somebody to be an EMA, or EMT, and teaching them how to pass the test. And it's very concerning that Lawson and Jeff State, who we do support, doesn't have a director and have the abysmal passage rate. Because if we need an EMT, there's usually a reason.
You want a good one, too.
We'll qualify. What are the numbers of these 5 different schools? Do we have any kind of idea of what the graduation rate is for these 5 entities? Like, how many are they producing a year?
That's what I couldn't get a hard answer to, is the number that are matriculating through that ultimately become licensed. And I know that data is collected because it's required under the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, their accreditation programs, which each one of those is under the Council on Education. And they have to look at viability. Is there a good reason for this program to exist if they're not graduating a sufficient number of students each year?
So not only that, but you go to one of these schools and you become an EMT, and unless you go to work for an ambulance company, you can't get a job, right?
Well, that's true unless you wind up going to work for a fire department and become a firefighter also, which is where a lot of the students are. But that's problematic in that to become a firefighter requires recruit training. It's not insignificant, 320 hours of pretty physical labor. And just to get in, the candidate physical aptitude test. So it's probably advantageous to have some EMTs that are out there working that really don't want to be or can't be firefighters, and that can help to deliver that service.
So, doing the research for Lipscomb and Bright, and we came across with Fairfield having a ambulance, but really not able to finance it. And come to find out that Midfield, all of their fire department is certified to work on an ambulance truck and a rescue truck. They're all certified, they all graduated. I think, is it all of them or 90% of them?
Well, by law, each firefighter who works at their department has to be licensed at the EMT basic level. So
but they
are at least basic EMT.
But they are certified for both medical, paramedic truck and an ambulance.
Well, there's a couple of different really paradigms for ambulances. That there's BLS, basic life support trucks, that can be staffed by EMTs at the basic level or even the advanced level, or a BLS truck can be staffed by paramedics. Then there's ALS units that are advanced life support that have to have at least one paramedic or advanced EMT on board. I believe that Midfield does have a high number of paramedics in their firefighting staff.
It's not, I think it's 80%, just off of my research, so the point is that I'm asking. Lipscomb and Brighton, I know don't have any, ambulances over there, I know that. And they don't have really funding to staff that. So I did get an opportunity, and I talked to the mayors, in those two cities, and they talked to the other two mayors about trying to get two trucks, and then they would put a resource together and figure out how they're going to pay for those people to work their truck, which 80% of the calls in their area, Midfield ended up answering anyway. That's the Lipscomb, Brighton, Fairfield. So that's what I was asking you, Commissioner,
About the ambulance.
right? Because they already have the employees in place, they're already doing the work, everything but the transport employee because they don't have ambulance. So they are answering the calls over there, and that comes from the research that I have done within my district, and I picked up on the other two.
Do we not
That's what I was about to say. And the part from Midfield, they just got a truck through community development. And so I don't want that to go unnoticed because
It's not an ambulance though.
let me finish, because that's my district. So what I'm saying is that the chief, who once was over in North Smithfield Manor, is now the chief out there at Midfield. So we ended up having a conversation with him, and then I had an extended conversation after we left because of the fact that the truck that they did receive came from, is that Gardendale? Or was it Fultondale? Fultondale. Okay, and so, anyway, when we went there for that, I know when it comes to phlebotomists and so forth, we don't have enough folks that even, are employed to be able to provide. So it don't matter about machinery you need it, but it's nothing if you don't have personnel working. And so what is happening over in Fairfield is that Fairfield does have ambulatory services, but they need folk to be able to work it. So that's where the issue is there. Because we've done a lot of work in Fairfield, and a lot of money from my district has gone into Fairfield. Okay, so that's why I asked the question, what could I do as their commissioner to help support getting the personnel that Fairfield needs? Midfield, on the other hand, they have the personnel, but they don't have the machinery, other than, transportation, which they just got that, and Dr. Hamilton did a great job of making sure that that was forged where they could get a grant match. So that's what it seems to be, personnel for one city, which is Fairfield, and then for Midfield, we need to be able to have that, the ambulatory service that allows them to be able to staff or house those folks that know how to provide for bottom end and so forth. So that's what my question that I raised before is, how can we assist with helping to provide an attractive incentive for us to be able to recruit the kind of help that we need?
There's a few, that's a deep-rooted, wicked problem, but it has several solutions that do rise up. It didn't just start, it's been going on for years. And the first thing that comes to mind when you mention that is this is a perfect opportunity for, I'm a huge supporter of mutual aid agreements and automatic aid agreements. And that is an ideal situation if one department has the equipment and the other department has the staffing that they can work together. That's my opinion, but I can back most of it up with some good documentable facts about how well that can help both communities if they were to choose to do that. Otherwise, each one of them will need to build their own capacity to handle whatever services that their citizens expect of them. And that is always key, you know, when we're talking about a public good, is that we're delivering what the citizens want to be able to receive in the way of service. So I don't know if that answers your question, Commissioner, or not. There's a couple of different ways.
We just want to see what we can do to help incentivize personnel, so that we can, you know, take what we do have and get it on the road and make it useful. You know what I mean? But I don't know if we can do anything to incentivize. I'm just really talking about what can you add to the budget to be able to assist you all to get some good folk in there and get the truck on the road.
I think a big part of our conversations overall, the equipment and the training aspects of it, is that a lot of these cities, even though they don't have the wherewithal to put the people in place, we're looking for sustainable solutions to get personnel requires sustainability, and that's a difficult question. So that's what the capital purchases that Chris was working on was very specific to our fire districts, because each city got ARPA funds, and so we were once you go down and support a city, then then you kind of open up Pandora's box on every municipality is going to want help from us and kind of looking for support.
So I think you get the data. That's what you're talking about. I think the data will substantiate the emergency needs. So if you have an area that is contiguous to another city that doesn't have any ambulatory or rescue capacity, then that's when you look at that area a little bit more stringent than you would one that already has, whether it be a Gardendale that's connected to a Fultondale or a Vestavia that's connected to a Hoover or whatever. If you are in underserved areas, and if you can at least staff one, provide machinery for one, and it takes in 3 or 4 surrounding cities, that's what I'm hoping that we can do. Because again, if you're saying that Midfield is helping to assist those other surrounding cities, then if we take care of that area, then that would at least provide a supply to meet the demand. Does that make sense?
And Chris has been working exceptionally hard on just that by putting equipment, which is a huge relief to those departments. If they don't have to buy the big pieces, they can staff more. But putting that out in the county where it can serve adjoining districts and even cities in some cases, that the recipients of this equipment will agree to go out and help their neighbors, which is kind of a federalized version of automatic aid. You take this, you're going to go help them.
So if I could add one other thing, because I know we need to move on, and we've been going at this for a while. Part of the want to support for my infrastructure money going to EMA is also looking at how can we do EMS countywide, and how can we support that, which would answer some of her questions and some of these municipalities that can't help. How do we help coordinate this? And it's more of a regional cooperation. We should lay that on that. So.
Yeah, and even with the mayors, if you can support one person that can do it, it's a difference between a service truck and an ambulance. So if you can support one of them that can do it, and maybe they can service and get together with the other mayors and service that whole 4 cities that need it. And they can help with the payments, and even with the Medicaid expansion going up to $611, that can also help too.
That is going to
So, but I think the talk needs to start with the mayors, because when I talked to the mayor of Cooper at Brighton, he said that they had met, but they hadn't sat down and negotiated nothing. They got to come back to the meeting.
So we're having conversations with fire chiefs associations, and we have a working group of fire chiefs from throughout the county, municipal and fire districts. So, if there aren't any other immediate questions, I know we need to move on. Thank you very much for being here.
Glad to be here. It's nice to see you.
And Commissioners, I appreciate you letting me kind of get all that out, just kind of piled up.
Take up all our time. Yeah, so.
But it was valuable information.
It was a very short agenda. You made up for it today. I'd say we're even.
All right, good.
All right, that concludes your.
Yes, sir, other than the need for executive session.
Okay, we'll do that, we'll do that. I would like to go ahead and let Mr. Scale show she has an appointment, she's gonna have to leave. This is the executive session. Wait, yeah, I didn't know it was 3 o'clock.
We have Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Board of Equalization, we have no items. We do have one item for Environmental Services. Don't know if that's David Dinner or if that would be you, Cal. David?
I move on.
Okay. The move to properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. General Retirement System of Jefferson County, no items. Human Resources, one item, and that's for Ms. Heather Carter. And for the position of Deputy County Manager, I only want to add one question, but anyone have any questions?
I move on.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then Carol will let us know exactly where he's gonna put Ms. Heather. In terms of, I know you have the other gentleman that I don't see, and then we have Ms. Sylvia, is that correct? So will that be like 3 deputies?
No, other guy.
Oh, well, then let's stand in that. Okay.
Heather the Deacon.
Okay, so.
Nobody puts that on.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, so, then answer that. We have for the compliance office, no items, personnel board, we have 4 items.
I move.
Okay, we have items 1 through 4, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
We have 2 items that were, earlier, passed by unanimous consent for consideration. The first you all need to know is that the fire station, number 1, we have purchased, and I'm trying to make sure for you as well, Commissioner Tyson, that they had, we purchased a signage board that they had, and then they, anyway, they had a bad storm that occurred about a year ago, and anyway, this is to replace the sign that they already had outside of the fire station, so, all right? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. The second is for Railroad Park. They have an operational emergency need that they are trying to take care of. So, all right. Yeah, they got this is a native plant project. It's to enhance their green space. Okay. All right. Did you get it? Okay. I needed to ask you a question. All right, so it's been moved, do we have a second? Okay. Now, you moved and seconded, I'm sorry. Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank
For your consideration, thank you.
All right, we have David Dinner who will present a high-level update on the ESD capital projects, and then Heather will present on the infrastructure project. So we're having a fairly high level, it's got to be quick, and then we can answer questions or do one-on-one.
All right, yeah, so I'm gonna go through this really quickly. Cal asked me to just kind of walk through, first of all, how do we make decisions about prioritizing projects, what's in the capital program, what's not. We've got a really large system, 3,200 miles of sewer, 9 plants with over 10,000 pieces of equipment. So how do we decide what to do, what not to do? The problem in the past was, how good of an engineer you have, you will not be able to make decisions about the whole system in isolation. So that's really kind of what we've been over the last couple of years. Our number one problem, next slide, is all we all know is wet weather SSOs. They're scattered out all over the place. Our main areas are from West End down to Bessemer, a couple of hot spots in Homewood and Mountain Brook. And so these red areas are just hot spots based on the volume of overflows that we're seeing. We've had a lot of success, next slide, in addressing those SSOs so far. We've reduced our SSOs by over 60% in the last 8 years and 40% in the last 5 years. So made a lot of progress. On the left is the number of SSOs, on the right is volume of SSOs. Last year was next to our last lowest year of volume of SSOs. Even though over the last 3 years, we've had anywhere from 10 to 20 extra inches of rainfall a year in the last 3 years. So what we've done so far has produced results. The way we've been doing that, next slide, is we developed system models for the entire system. It tells us where the problems are, what happens when it rains, where the overflows happen. What it's done is it's tells us what happens in the whole system, and it's found some problems that we didn't know we had. So we got basically, next slide, 3 different ways we can address this. We can replace pipe, which is really expensive and really disruptive. We can put in storage on the system. That top right is a tank that we put in Leeds very recently, and then we can do liner, which is a cured place liner that goes inside the pipe and basically removes the pipe from the inside. And that's the cheapest option we've got. So
what does the tank do, David?
It's basically storage. So if we get rainfall or we get more flow than we can handle in the pipe, it will pump the extra water up into the tank, and then when the rainfall ends, flow goes down and start releasing that volume back into the sewer once the line goes down. So in some places, that's the best option. It's cheaper than a bigger pipe. You know, the problem is nobody likes to look at those tanks, so we're being really selective about where we do. But what we've done is we've got all those 3 different models of solutions, and we put that into an entire model. So this represents everything that we could do in the system to address all those overflows. And we put that into a program called Optimatics. You can go to the next slide. So what this program does is it takes all those 4 different kinds of options and 100 different problem areas, and it runs hundreds of thousands of simulations on all the different ways we can address those between all those 3 options. And like I said, this is something a single engineer, I don't care how good you are, you cannot do this in your brain. So what it's produced is, Daniel, you kind of shown we're at the point now on that sort of priority 4, priority 5. So what this curve basically shows you is that we can do 80% of the results for 40% of the cost. Or in the priority 5, 90% of the results for about 50% of the cost. So where we are now in the collection system is everything that's sort of to the left side of that is prioritized. That's what we're doing. And everything to the right is we've determined that it's too expensive and it doesn't give us enough results to put in the program for right now. What that's done is save us hundreds of millions of dollars on the capital program versus what we were approaching before, which was replacing pipe and doing storage and everything else. The side benefit is we're doing a lot more liner. It's renewing the pipe and it's extending the asset of the system at the same time. So we're kind of getting both benefits. The other part of that is on the treatment plant side. We've got some, you can go to the next slide. The way we're addressing this is through asset management program. We've got, like I said, over 10,000 pieces of equipment there that we're tracking, valves that weigh thousands of pounds, clarifiers, you can see a person down there, just the scale of the things that we're trying to manage there, and a whole lot of assets. So if you go to the next slide, what we've done is we've taken those tens of thousands of assets, we've tagged all those, we've rated all those, and so now between all the 9 plants, and we'll finish this up at the end of the year, we can look at all those equipment, see how they're performing, and decide, if something's in the green, it means it's operating well, there's not a big risk when it fails, it's going to be a big problem. Things as they move up into the red, as they age and everything else, and they perform worse, it's things we start to look at. So now we can decide what to fix, when to fix it, and say, do I do the pumps at Valley plant, or do I do the pumps at Village plant? Which ones do I do before I do the other? I don't know. I think it's really cool. All these are going to have a QR tag, your QR code that you see. So our maintenance people and operators will be able to go out to these equipment. They can they can shoot that with their phone and say, you know, this pump here is noisy, you need to look at this for maintenance. When our maintenance people go out, they can tag where it is, they can do the work, and everything gets logged. So we'll know every piece of maintenance that happens, and all the problems that happen out in the system. We're doing the same thing with our pump stations. Up in the red, you can see, you know, we've got a good half a dozen pump stations. That's how we're prioritizing which pump stations we do above the others. We're managing that as well. And then next slide, this is just sort of where all the work is scheduled out over the next 5 years. The blue is this year, that pink is next year. Next year, the orange is in 2025. So, you know, it reflects a lot of what you saw in the second slide, which is where the problems are. It's from sort of West End down to Bessemer. That's where most of the work is happening. And then next slide, just kind of the breakdown. About a third of our work's happening in the treatment plants. Even though it shows above the largest category, about 60% of our work happens in the collection system. So like I said, it's that rehab that we produced out of the model. It's replacing pipe and everything else. So, you know, that's why I think we're pretty confident, and really credit to Daniel White and the engineering staff of being able to come up with these solutions where we can plan the work out for the next 30 years, and we can make sure, we can also tell you, when I'm doing a project, is this the most critical work that we can do? Is to do this work here versus where we do some work somewhere else. The last thing we're looking at is just cost trends. We've seen by a couple of metrics, construction costs go up by about 25% over the last 2 years. So that's something we're actively managing. You know, whether we need to, we put this into the long-term model and see how that affects things 30 years out, but also, you know, from year to year and the next year, if we have a project coming in over budget, we're making sure that we got one that's negative, and so we're balancing all that out, so make sure we're not spending more money than's been allocated to us, and if we need to push something out to another year, we're gonna do that, so.
Are we adding new users to this?
We're adding probably a couple of hundred accounts a year. It's not huge, but it's something. So it's been a couple hundred, sometimes 300-500 accounts a year. Kind of bigger than that, but there is some growth in the system, yes.
But not any expansion of the system.
None of this really includes like direct environmental services money to expansion. But one of the things we've done in the model is being able to plan ahead. So, for instance, Smuckers and Jeff Matt, while we were already doing work on overflows out there, we expanded the pump station so that we were ahead of when Smuckers and all the other capacity needed. The same thing with the hospital in McCalla. As we're addressing problems, we're looking at where the growth areas, you know, where do we have potential for growth and development and everything else. And so we're ready for that when it comes.
Are you looking at North Church?
We're Warrior is in Gardendale, yeah. We're looking at where the capacity is there. Warrior, for the most part, we got a lot of capacity to plant. It's
Hold on.
yeah, I mean that's what we've got at the plant. It's the problem with Hallmark is getting it into the system. So yeah, all of that's modeled in there. That's all we've been talking to engineer at Hallmark too.
So is it resident, so you don't know whether it's gonna be residential or business, or you already know?
We're trying to look at the mix. So, you know, wherever we think we residential development or commercial, we're trying to look at those and project flows based on that. We're working with the Regional Planning Commission, getting their sort of, you know, projections that they got all over the county and putting that into our model.
And with the business, be a part of paying this debt back that we got?
Well, 60% of our revenue that comes in is on the sort of commercial industrial side. Revenue, that's where it comes in. We're trying to, you know, structure our rates that minimizes it to the residential. Yeah, most of our revenue comes from commercial residential or commercial revenue.
Are you basing your planning on what the information that Regional Planning Commission is providing?
So we're using that as a starting point. working with
I mean, do they
their
have,
high-level data, and we're looking at it on a local level too. So we're looking at what we're seeing come in. We're getting letters from, people asking for capacity all the time. So we're tracking that as we come in, as the developers come to us and tell us their long-term plans. And we're talking to, individual, Jeff Matt and everybody else about what they see coming. So it's a combination of both.
and 60% of your work is in the collection system,
Yes.
and the ones we inherited.
Yeah, most of that comes from the municipal systems, yeah.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Good morning, Commissioners. Similar to David's update, we wanted to provide you with an update of the work that we've been doing. We have recently finished several projects to catalog and update our condition scoring on our asset management. At the moment, we have 2,100 center-line miles of road, 292 bridges. We identified 24,000 drainage structures, a little over 1,000 guardrail installation sites, 36,000 signs, and 458 signal sites. So with those updated efforts, we have a much clearer picture of the condition of those assets and where everything is. With the work to most recently update the inspection scoring on the road, we have completed one full round of inspections. Our overall network rating at the moment is graded at a 52 out of 100. That's not quite as bad as it sounds. It's not an A to an F scale. So if you refer to the visual up there, we're sitting in mid to low fair. So our 5-year plan identified getting up 80% of our roads into the good or better. What we have discovered as part of this effort is you see where that graph steepens. What happens is that we end up losing a lot of condition over a fairly short period of time. And so this has helped us to identify those areas that are aging out at a more accelerated rate than the initial assumptions were. So we have been continuing with our target paving between the contract paving and our in-house paving. We are in the process of rolling out some new rehabilitation strategies to help extend that pavement life. Ultimately, we've had some pretty significant impacts with almost 100% increase in the cost of asphalt and oils over the last 18 to 24 months, which is having a pretty significant impact to the budget. So we have identified some areas where we need to either stretch out that lifespan or make some additional investments in order to get those pavement conditions up where they need to be and help stretch that life cycle out a little bit. Because we do get better performance for a little bit longer as we get up into that good rating. At the moment, we would be looking at an investment of about another 50 miles a year to add to that to help us accelerate and recover. We have also, as part of the asset management, we have some additional, we need to add another bridge in order to make our goal for the removal of the load-rated structures within the county. So we have made good progress on bridge projects to do replacements of those structures, but they're continuing to age out. The average age of the bridge, all the bridges within the county is 50 years. So that obviously presents some challenges in terms of the maintenance and life cycle on them. With the drainage structures, as part of the asset inventory that we recently completed. We have identified a number of additional asset structures. A good number of them are quite old, have quite a number of issues with them. They've reached the end of their functional lifespan, and we are in the process of utilizing the tools under the geisha model, and then some of the money that was allocated under the drainage projects to help us with address those issues. And then, of course, our ongoing asset management programs for the guardrail, the signs, the signals. Particularly excited about some of that RTOP work. RTOP, we've been able to coordinate with the state. And basically what this allows is integrated automation of our signal timing plans with adjacent jurisdictions in the state so that we can coordinate those signals and optimize corridors. It's really, really high value in terms of not a lot of money spent, but for a lot of increase in performance along the corridors. And it also has particular value in the event that we have to do any sort of response or coordination. Because those are now fully integrated, we can switch timing plans in real time if there's accidents and things. So that coordination piece was really, really valuable. Moving on to our update of the 5-year capital plan. So just kind of a high-level map where the projects, and these are projects that were approved as part of the most recently adopted financial plan. We have kind of a list here. As David mentioned, we have seen some, next slide, honey. We have seen some fairly significant increases in project costs, both in construction costs and materials costs. Helen, next slide. Next slide. Sorry, there we go. So we have gone through and kind of updated those forecasts and the actual costs. There's working to try to balance out the impact of some of those, but ultimately we're looking for some additional funding for some of these projects that we already have committed and are continuing to move forward. We have quite a few of them that have already gone out to construction, and the good news is the construction costs are coming in about where the updated forecasts are sitting. So we have a pretty good idea of moving forward where we are. Next slide, Helen. We've recently implemented a new tool which will help show information about the capital program and the projects that we have using the ClearGov portal. And we wanted to give some examples of project sheets that will now be available on the web to provide updated communication. Helen, if you just want to page through the slideshow, there was a couple examples there. No, not that one, the slideshow. Just the next one.
But it is live.
Yep, it is live. Oop. So we have quite a bit of information included on the various project pages, including locations, graphics, project descriptions, timelines, maps. So we're pretty excited about this tool to help with communication to the public and to help share information about the projects that we have ongoing. So we have several that are highlighted up there. But it will, so the program itself has an interactive map, so I'll be more than happy to show folks how to investigate and click through it and find the information that they're interested on specific projects.
Also, Also, commissioners, we kind of ran out of time, the general services, if you could give us an update on your top five projects, I know the economy is affecting them as well. And I will say the asset management, facility management program they have is phenomenal, and every component's been, or you can explain it.
I don't have a slide. So there are 5 top priority projects that General Services is currently working on. It's the Youth Detention Center renovations, Animal Control Facility, the Coroner's Medical Facility that's currently located at Cooper Green that we need to find space for. We also have the 7th Avenue parking deck. We're doing a feasibility study for that. And then the task at the Bessemer Justice Center, we're looking at moving that group so that we can expand the service office.
What was that last one?
The task,
Oh, okay.
the Bessemer Justice Center, located there, and then there's some family court movement that we need to do. So, but we currently have about 14 active capital projects, but those are our top 5. Do you have any questions?
How close are you on the corners?
I meet Wednesday with UAB. So currently they are helping us to find a location that's going to be amenable to that office. So not very close, but I do have a schematic design. So
I thought we were pretty close on the location at one time.
we were at the UAB. Anything else for me regarding general service?
Did you provide the lunch today?
No, I think I heard the president say he's gonna get.
All right, good.
If I could add with, with one too anyway. Yesterday we had an opportunity to meet with the folks at Smuckers, their engineers, their CEO, and our county manager was there as well. And what a fantastic job that everybody's doing between ESD and Roads and Trans, and inspections and everybody. They did nothing but sing praises on the process and how well it's worked. And they, in all internationally and within the United States, they've never experienced the ease of work and support that they've gotten. And so kudos to everybody for the work that you've done and keeping it on task and staying on time. It's a fantastic job, and really appreciate it. It shows how well we can get it done, which is going to encourage them to bring more of their industry here.
All right, Ms. Tyson, Community Development and Health Services.
Good morning, Commissioner. We bring on the corner, Department of Community Services, Dr. Hamilton.
Good morning, Commissioners. The first 3 items that's on the agenda is dealing with Graysville Park. What we're proposing here is to terminate the original cooperation agreement and replace them with a new agreement that changes the language that allow those projects to be closed out so we can complete the contract. Number 4.
Why don't we have a switch?
It's a legal. It's a legal issue.
Okay.
Okay. Number 4, 5, and 6 is just for the county to apply for some grants to the Department of Justice for UAB. The first one is the COSAP grant. The second one is adult treatment court discretionary grant. And 6, the next one is Veterans Treatment Court grant. These are all for the drug court related tasks.
The first one, second, I'll pay the same.
All right. Roads and Transit transportation, do I have a motion on 1 through 11? Have a motion, second, all in favor, please say aye. County attorney, 1 through 13. Motion, second, all in favor, please say aye. County manager, 1 through 11, on ARPA, capital, we got that. 1 through 11. Okay, the files will be on third. Have a motion, second, all in favor, please say aye. I'll move the appointment. One, you want to do it? Have a motion, second, all in favor, please say aye. Finance, they move 1 through 6. Have a motion, second, all in favor, please say aye. Budget management development, please say have a motion. All in favor, please say aye. Okay. I have developmental services. Resolution of public nuisance and demolition of some Latina community. Have a motion. Second, and I did have a question on that. When will we be moving into other areas other than this particular one? I think you like driving with it and stuff.
Good morning, Commissioners. To answer your question, we have some maps here. And that kind of shows the projection of, we're currently on batch 3, and that also shows you batch 4 and 5. So batch 3 is the Lucina area. Batch 4 is the next. It's going to be Robinwood and the Pawnee Heights area. And then batch 5 is going to be the Forestdale area. After we finish with batch 5, which is the Forestdale area, then we are going to move into all of the rest of the county to hit all of the areas that that were not in concentrated areas. Does that answer your question?
I think so. I'll get with you.
Okay. Okay. The main answer is that we've got batch 3, 4, and 5, and then we move into all of the areas where we'll have one property that's isolated, and we'll hit all of the isolated properties in that batch 6.
Can y'all visit with each commission office and make sure they've got any calls and written down on the site, make sure you know all this?
We sure can. We sure can.
We reported something.
Yeah, we've been keeping a running tally of everything that we've had complaints on, and we can meet with everyone to make sure we're not omitting any areas.
What we've been trying to do is concentrate in these areas to make a difference in the community. And we've made a difference. We've had a lot of feedback. And when we go out into those communities, they appreciate us being there. And so that's why we got the clusters, and we're trying to do that. 2 reasons: to make a difference in the community, and the contractor that's going to be getting the bid, they can stay in that one area and don't have to run all over the county.
I would maybe like to see y'all run parallel course through the community, but you clean up one house in the whole neighborhood, and that whole neighborhood is like, finally they got that thing out of the way, as opposed to having to wait 3 more years for the clusters. Okay? That might be just think about it.
Sure. And we can talk with you about how we might want to approach that.
Yeah, I'll do some funds and whatever I need to do. All right, have a motion and a second on item 1. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, resolution approving designated position of Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yes, sir. This is just a resolution of, back in December, I gave you all a brief presentation about the vacancies that we were having on the Planning Commission. This just approves the designated positions. That's the county engineer, the county engineer's proxy, the representative from the health department, and one that's an employee of the county. And it is recommended that Christy Forsythe from the Board of Registrars take that position. She served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for the past 8 years as a private citizen, so it would be a really quick fix in filling that gap.
The motion. All in favor, please say aye. we want to take a hard look at how those districts are. We'll do that over time because it was kind of an antiquated system that we're using in order to.
Correct.
All right, general services. All in favor,
Elevators.
please.
Items 1 and 2.
Have a motion. The second, all in